The night began with a mistake. Before Nian stepped into the water, Ethan Miller stood alone on the back deck, winter air sharp against his face, staring at the steam rising from the hot tub, like a secret that refused to stay hidden. The house behind him was quiet, too quiet for a place that had once felt full of noise and laughter. His father's lakehouse in northern Michigan had always been loud on weekends. Friends, music, food, stories that ran late into the night. But tonight, on Litwoo, people remained awake, and that made everything feel heavier than it should. Have, he had driven up from Chicago just to help his dad close the house for the season. One night, Mabutwo, that was the deal. But his father had left early that evening after an urgent call from work promising to return. In the morning, Ethan was left behind with the one person he never expected to share silence with. Laura Bennett. She wasn't family by blood. She wasn't his stepmother either. She was his father's closest friend, a woman who had been around for years, long before Ethan finished college, long before his parents divorced. She had helped his dad through the hardest parts of life and in many ways felt woven in a fabric of the family, safe, familiar, untouchable. At least she was supposed to be. The hot tub had been Laura's idea, a casual suggestion said with a shrug and a tired smile. Might as well use it one last time before winter, she had said. It's nothing more, nothing dangerous now. Ethan wondered why his chest felt tight. Thinking about it, he heard the sliding door open behind him. You didn't change your mind, did you? Laura asked. Her voice was calm, warm. The same voice that had once helped him through his parents' breakup with quiet talks and steady advice. He turned to see her, standing there in a thick robe, hair loosely tied back, her face free of makeup. She looked real. It's real. No, Ethan said quickly. I'm good. Chesmilled, relieved, and stepped past him toward the tub. The steam wrapped around her as she lowered herself into the water. It's careful and slow. Ethan looked away, ashamed of the way his thoughts tried to wander. He told himself this was nothing. Just Toodles killing time. Just a conversation. Still, when he slipped a into the hot tub across from her, the salons felt louder than any party had ever been. The water was hot, almost too hot, and Ethan let out a breath. Hadn't realized he had been holding. Laura leaned her head back against Thesia's eyes, closed. Long day, she said. Yeah, he replied. Long year. That made her open her eyes. You holding a puck, she asked. It was a simple question, but it hit him harder than expected. No one had really asked him that in months. Had a job he tolerated, eh? City that never slowed down, and a life that looked fine from the outside. But inside, he felt stuck between who he was and who he was supposed to be. Guess, he said, still figuring things out. Laura nodded. That doesn't stop, you know. I thought it would by now. Boutet doesn't. Ethan smiled at that. She laughed softly. Sorry, I meant you're not alone. The conversation picked up speed after that. They talked about Chicago, about his work, about how strange it felt to see the lake house empty. Laura told him she might move soon, maybe closer to the city, maybe somewhere warmer. Ethan realized he didn't like the idea as much as Hessel'd have. At some point. Without noticing how it happened, they drifted closer. Not touching, just closer. Laura looked at him in a way that made his stomach twist. Not with desire. Not yet, but with attention. Real attention. The kind people give when they're fully present. You've changed, she said. Good or bad? Different. She replied more serious. Life will do that. She studied him for a moment. You don't have to carry everything alone, Ethan. There it was again. That feeling like she could see Strathra him. He wanted to say something light, something to break the mood, but words stuck. Instead, he found himself saying, sometimes I feel like I'm living someone else's plan. Laura's expression softened. That's a hard place to be. I don't even know what I want anymore. The steam between Thamad, the world feels small, closed off. the house, the lake. The rest of their lives felt far away. Laura shifted, turning her body toward him. "Wanting answers doesn't make you weak," she said. "It makes you honest." Their eyes met. And for a second, neither of them looked away. That waste moment. Ethan should have pulled back. He knew it, felt it deep and hideous like a warning bell. But instead he stayed still. "I don't talk like this with anyone," he admitted. Laura hesitated just for a moment. Then she said, "Neither." The honesty in her voice changed everything. She told him about the loneliness that followed her everywhere, even when she was surrounded by people. About choosing stability over passion over and over again, about how easy it was to disappear into helping others and forget herself. Ethan listened. Alla listened. He wasn't trying to impress her. He wasn't trying to fix anything. It was just there, and somehow that felt more intimate than anything he had experienced before. The air grew cooler as the night went on, but neither. Autumn noticed. The water kept them warm. "It's too warm." Laura laughed at something Ethan said, then stopped suddenly, her smile fading. "We should probably head inside soon," she said. "Yeah," he replied, but he didn't move. Neither did she. The silence returned, heavier this time, filled with things neither of them said. Ethan became painfully aware of how close. They were now close. Enough to hear her breathing change. "This is a bad idea," Laura said quietly. Ethan swallowed. "Then why does it feel so honest?" She looked away toward the dark lake. "Because honesty doesn't always care about rules. The words hung bet, wean them." Heart raced. Huon, thinking about consequences, wasn't thinking about his father. He was thinking about the way this moment felt, raw and unplanned. Like something that had been waiting to happen without either of them knowing. Laura stood suddenly. Water spilling over the edge of the tub. "I need to go inside," she said. He stood. Too faster thon he should have. Laura Dachi stopped her back to him. "This can't happen," she said, her voice steady but strained. "We both know that. I know Hesed, and he meant it. But knowing didn't make it easier." She turned to face him. For a brief second, the distance between them disappeared, not physically, but emotionally. It was like standing at the edge of something you know you shouldn't jump into, but can't stop imagining the fall. Laura took a step back. "Good night, Ethan." She walked inside without looking back. Ethan stayed there long after Theodore closed, the hot tub water cooling around him, his thoughts loud and downsteady. The night had changed something inside him. He felt it clear lino. Whatever this was, it wasn't over. And the hardest part was knowing that morning was coming. Morning came too fast, and with it the weight of everything that hadn't been said. Ethan woke to the sound of a car pulling Yento, the driveway. His heart jumping bore, his mind fully caught up. His father was back. Bubble of the night before burst, replaced by reality. Ethan lay still staring at the ceiling, great playing Laura's words, her hesitation, the way she had walked away without looking back. His father was already in the kitchen, cheerful and loud, talking. About meetings and deadlines, as if nothing in the world had shifted overnight. Laura stood at the counter sipping coffee.com and composed. Sumian had walked in at that moment. They would have seen nothing unusual. Laura avoided his eyes. The space she kept between them, careful and intentional. "Sleep okay?" his father asked. "Yeah," Ethan said quickly. "Fine, we were up late talking," she said, keeping her tone casual. "Hope you didn't keep each other up too long." His father joked. Ethan forced a smile under normal words and morning light. After breakfast, his father suggested heading into town to grab supplies. Laura declined, saying she had work calls to catch up on. Ethan volunteered to stay back and finish packing. The house felt heavy again. Laura moved around the kitchen, cleaning cups that were already clean. Ethan stood near the window, unsure what to say. "This is awkward." Laura turned. "We act like adults." who understand boundaries, she said. That sounds simple, Ethan replied. It isn't, she admitted. That made it harder. Ethan took a breath. I'm leaving this afternoon, he said. Kay can head back to Chicago earlier than planned. Laura studied him. You don't they've to run. Probably they spent the rest of the morning apart, each finding reasons. To stay busy, Ethan packed boxes, cleaned rooms, kept his hands moving so his thoughts wouldn't spiral. Winter weather and traffic. Ethan felt like he was watching himself from a distance, playing a role he suddenly didn't recognize. By early afternoon, his car was packed. Ethan stood by the trunk waiting for Laura. Part of him hoped she wouldn't. Part of him needed her too. Did Laura step on Taft's porch? Drive safe, she said. I will. They stood there, neither moving. Admit what I said, Laura added quietly, about honesty. That wasn't nothing. Ethan nodded. But it can't be more, she said. Not like this. No, he repeated. She gave him a small smile. Sad but kind. Take care of yourself, Ethan. He got into his car before either of them could see more. The drive back felt endless. He just late nights. Ethan tried to slip back into routine, but something had shifted. He found himself questioning choices he had never thought to question. Before weeks passed, then Laura texted him. It's just a simple message. Hope you're doing well. He stared at his phone for a long time before replying. Hope you are too. That was it. No long talks, no late night calls. Yet the line between them felt thinner than ever. They exchanged occasional messages after that. Safe ones, updates about work, books they were reading, weather complaints, never the lake, never the hot tub, never the words that could tip. Things over Ethan start teddating again. Nothing serious. He noticed how quickly he pulled away when things felt shallow. Real connection. One evening, months later, his father called with news. Laura was moving out of state. New job, a fresh start. That's great for her, Ethan said. MAIT, meaning it and not meaning it all atones. She's been a good friend, his father added. The night Laura left, she sent Ethan one last message. I'm glad we met, when we did. Even if it was complicated, he replied after a long pause. Me too. They didn't keep seasons changed. Ethan's changed with them. He took risks at work. He moved apartments. He started saying no to things that didn't feel right and yes to things that scared him. Years later, standing on a different balcony in a different city. Ethan thought about that night by the lake, not with longing, but with understanding. It hadn't been about desire or temptation. It's been about being seen at a moment when he felt lost. Laura had been a mirror, not a destination. That realization brought them peace. Some connections are meant to be brief, intense, and unfinished. They didn't follow us forever, but they change how we walk the rest of the way. And that night, unexpected as it was, hadn't exactly that.